Welcome back to the Funkhauser Diecast Racing League. We are here at the Old Yadkin Valley Speedway where 12 cars are locked in and ready to go for the 90 stock car tournament, but we have 8 cars fighting for the last 4 positions open. Let's get down to the pit lanes as we're set for driver introductions. Starting us off for qualifying Group 7, you've got Nick Clemens in the number 5, 1991 Chevy Lumina by Racing Champions. After him, you got Wade Harper in his number 93, 1993 Oldsmobile Cutlass by RCCA. After him, you've got James Myers in his number 51, 1991 Chevy Lumina by Racing Champions. And then finally, we got Wiley Barlow in the number 18, 1990 Chevy Lumina by Matchbox.
That's a Matchbox?
Yes, Ricky, it's a Matchbox. But let's get back to the race here. We've got Wade Harper in that front inside lane. Right next to him was be Nick Clemens in his number 5 car. On the rear row, you've got James Myers on the inside lane, and then right next to him is Wiley Barlow. We're set for race 1, which is now underway. As they head down the stretch in the turn 1, it's Nick Clemens leading the pack, with Wiley Barlow's right behind him as he's giving him a push into turn 2 through the chicane. As they continue down, can Wiley Barlow make the pass? Nick Clemens is making it hard. Down the home stretch, it looks like it's going to be Nick Clemens, followed by Wiley Barlow. Here comes Wade Harper, and finally James Myers is bringing up the rear. Race 1 is in the bag, and Nick Clemens is leading us with 5 points. Right behind him is Wiley Barlow. Then you got Wade Harper there, and James Myers is in 4th place. But we still got 3 races to go, and anybody make some big moves and move on as race 2 is set and ready to go. Down the backstretch, heading into turn 1, it's Wiley Barlow taking the lead over Nick Clemens. And it looks like James Myers is going to be fighting for that second spot, but Wiley Barlow is all alone. He's in the turn 3, heading down the super stretch. Into turn 4, he's heading down the home stretch. He's going to be your winner. And it looks like James Myers takes the second place, followed by Nick Clemens, and Wade Harper is bringing up the rear. Wiley must have afterburners on that car because it is fast. Checking out the leaderboard, we got Wiley Barlow going to be your new leader with 9 points, but right behind him is Nick Clemens. But don't count out James Myers or Wade Harper. They are all closely knit in points. We got 2 more races to go, and we are set and ready to go for race 3. Wiley Barlow in that front inside lane, he is taking advantage of it as he goes into turn 1 by himself. He is just saying goodbye. He's already through the chicane. In the turn 3 by himself, he's going down with no effort whatsoever. He almost wrecked. He's going to be your winner, followed by James Myers, Nick Clemens, and Wade Harper is bringing up the rear. His car seems to be limping across the line, and he comes to a stop right after the end. This is it, ladies and gentlemen, the last race for the early 90s qualifiers. Wiley Barlow hanging on to that lead with 14 points, but Nick Clemens and James Myers are going to have to fight it out to see who's going to be moving on to the first round of the 90s stock car tournament. James Myers leads the pack with Wiley Barlow right in pursuit as they head into turn 1, down the S turns, into turn 2. Wiley Barlow still giving him a push. It looks like those two are going to be all alone. He tries to make the pass, but he's unsuccessful. They almost both lose it as we head into turn 4. Who's going to be our winner? It's going to be James Myers, followed by Wiley Barlow. Then you got Wade Harper, and Nick Clemens is bringing up the rear. Checking out the final scores, it's Wiley Barlow on top, and right behind him is James Myers. These 2 drivers will be moving on to the first round of the 90s stock car tournament. Now let's get set and ready to go for introductions for the late 90s qualifying group. Starting us off with qualifying group 8, you've got Mike Scott in his number 4, 1995 Chevy Monte Carlo. After him, you've got James Jones in his number 44, 1996 Pontiac Grand Prix. After him, you've got Rod Hardy in his number 5, 1995 Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And then finally, you've got Jack Stone in his number 99, 1997 Ford Thunderbird. All these cars, Hot Wheels. As we're set for race 1, James Jones is going to be sitting in that inside pole position, and right next to him is going to be Mike Scott in the outside lane. On the rear row, you got Rod Hardy in the inside, and Jack Stone sitting right next to him as we are set and ready to go for race 1, which is now underway. Down the backstretch, heading into turn 1, it's James Jones with Mike Scott riding on his tail as they head through the S turns. Mike Scott catches up through turn 2, through the chicane. He takes the lead, and we have trouble. They're heading into turn 3, and they're all wrecking. They're beating, they're banging, they're crashing. Can they straighten it back out? No, it looks like they're all going to come to a halt right there at the entrance of turn 4. All of them are stopped, and it looks like we're going to have to restart the race. Let's check out the replay. As the drivers exit the chicane, head down the stretch, Mike Scott and James Jones fighting for that position, but Mike Scott gets turned sideways. The other drivers have nowhere to go as they enter into turn 3. Rod Hardy gets turned around and slams the inside wall. The other drivers have absolutely nowhere to go as they try to straighten out, heading back down the super stretch, but unable to complete as they get turned sideways again and entering into turn 4. A quadruple DNF means we're going to have a restart. The drivers are set back into the same starting positions. No points awarded to anybody. So let's get ready and get set as race 1 restart is set and ready to go. Down the back stretch, James Jones takes that lead again, but Mike Scott's not going to let him get away with it. Oh, we have trouble with Rod Hardy once again, but here comes Mike Scott. He takes the lead, and looks like James Jones is going to be taking it back from him. He gets turned around. It looks like he's going to win the race backwards, and then Mike Scott's coming in second place, and here comes Rod Hardy finishing. Looks like Jack Stone got turned around upside down. Let's take a look at the replay here as we see that great pass by James Jones entering the turn 3, but Mike Scott's not going to let him get away. He gives him a slight tap and a pit maneuver, turn him around, but James Jones says, nope, I will not be denied. He shows some amazing driving skills as he's able to stay in front of Mike Scott while keeping his eyes on the rearview mirror and able to cross the finish line in first place. An unfortunate start for Jack Stone as he's upside down. The emergency crew's checking in on him. Looking at the replay, you see him exit turn 2 with no problems, but he enters the chicane too fast, rolls it over, ends up on his roof. Checking out the leaderboard after race 1, your leader is going to be James Jones, but right behind him is going to be Mike Scott with just 1 point behind him. But don't count out Rod Hardy. He's sitting there in third place. Jack Stone still has some ways to go, but he's got 3 more races to get there as we are set and ready for race 2. Mike Scott leads him down to the turn 1, but Jack Stone is right there on his tail. Can Mike Scott catch up to him? Here comes Jack Stone making a move through turn 2 through the chicane. Can he make the pass as they enter turn 3? But we got trouble. Contact between Rod Hardy and Jack Stone. Looks like Mike Scott's going to take it for himself. Oh, he gets tangled up on the outside retaining wall. Here comes James Jones. He hits him. Jack Stone comes across the line, and looks like Rod Hardy has to slam on the brakes as he comes across the line. It is total chaos down here at the finish line. As we watch the replay, we see Mike Scott coming out of turn 4. He hits the outside retaining wall. It picks him up and flips him around backwards, losing all of his momentum. James Jones, seeing the accident ahead of him, has to make a split-second decision, but it's too late. He strikes Mike Scott right in his front bumper, and then Jack Stone comes across the line. Rod Hardy, seeing what's going on in front of him, he slams on his brakes and comes to a stop just before striking the other drivers. What crazy action we've seen here in the first 2 races of competition. These drivers are fighting tooth and nail to get into the first round of the 90 stock car tournament. Mike Scott and James Jones tied for first place, but don't count out Rod Hardy. He's right there. It's still in this competition as race 3 is underway. Jack Stone leads them down as they head into turn 1, but here comes Rod Hardy taking the lead from him with James Jones in hot pursuit behind him. They're heading down into turn 3. Here comes Rod Hardy. Oh, he flips, he turns around, and James Jones strikes him. They're coming down the home stretch, and Rod Hardy wins the race going backwards. James Jones in second place, and we have to take a look at who came in third. Holy cow, this racing just seems to get more and more chaotic. As we watch the replay, we see Rod Hardy leading us into turn 3 with James Jones hot on his tail, and Rod just takes that turn too hard. He gets flipped up, turned around, almost going into the crowd, and then James Jones strikes him right in the front bumper as they come around. And then you see him, he crosses the line first, and here comes the finish for third place. It's going to be Mike Scott taking it away from Jack Stone. I've said it once already, but they are truly fighting tooth and nail to get into the first round of the 90 stock car tournament. James Jones is leading us with 13 points, but only 2 points separate them from the third place position. It's anybody's race as we are set and ready for race 4. Rod Hardy leading him down the backstretch, with James Jones is right there on his tail as we head to... Oh! We get trouble. Huge trouble. Rod Hardy takes a huge hit. He's sitting in the middle of the chicane, but James Jones is taking advantage of that wreck. He is all alone as he's going to be coming across the line. He's obviously going to be moving on, and then here comes Mike Scott coming across the line in second place. Oh my Lord, that wreck was horrible. The emergency crews have rushed out to the exit of the chicane to check in on Rod Hardy and Jack Stone. It is unsure what the condition of Rod Hardy is. He's unresponsive. Let's check out the replay. We see him coming out of turn 1, gets loose, hits, pops up at the S-turn, then gets struck by James Jones, hit the outside retaining wall, then gets struck by the other drivers. He then backs down the embankment and then starts to roll. As we check out turn 3 camera, we see him. He rolls off the cliff into the chicane. The other drivers are barely missing him, and then here comes Jack Stone with nowhere to go. He slams into the side of Rod Hardy and then pulls him along the track as they come to a rest right there in front of the audience at the exit of the chicane. I'm being told Rod Hardy is being loaded up and taken to the closest emergency facility. After that pandemonium of racing, it looks like James Jones is going to be moving on to the first round of the 90 stock car tournament, but right there with him will be Mike Scott. These drivers finishing up the qualifying rounds. And here you are, ladies and gentlemen, your qualifiers from groups 7 and 8. You've got James Myers, Wiley Barlow, Mike Scott, and James Jones. These men, along with 12 other drivers, will be moving on to the first round of the 90 stock car tournament. We've got tons more action coming your way, so remember, as always, if you like the content you've seen here, please remember, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell as we bring you more amazing, exciting action here from the Old Yadkin Valley Speedway, home to the Winston-Salem Racing Series and the Funkhauser Diecast Racing League. Make sure to stick around and come back as we bring you more exciting racing action.
You've been watching the Funkhauser Diecast Racing League. Stay tuned for more 90s stock car racing action.